We just finished dinner, we're hanging out. Today, I posted on Instagram like an IGTV of Logan and shared some video clips I've never like really shared besides what you guys have seen. And so there was some stuff you guys hadn't seen that I put on my IGTV. It was kind of fun to watch back a little bit of his life. It just kind of keeps memories like fresh. The more I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember how he felt. Oh, I remember how he smelled. I remember how that smelled. Oh my gosh, I remember how his body felt when I held him. Remember how his cheeks would feel when I'd kiss him. Like, it's funny when you watch back videos, like, oh yeah, I remember that. Our very, very, very last video ever made of him, it was on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2006. It was our very last video clip of him ever. And he was sitting on Corey's lap, and we ended the video, the full video of his life, everything. Like, the last thing we ever said to him on camera was, we love you, Logan, bye-bye, Logan. And then Kesley, bye-bye, Logan, we love you. And I just thought, how crazy is that? That was the last like video clip we have of his life that we had. I don't know, it was just kind of weird. But anyway, I was just thinking about how that was only 4 days before he passed away, and little did we know, because we didn't know he was gonna pass away 4 days later. But it was just kind of cool to kind of be like, oh my gosh, that was how ironic is that? The last thing I said to him was, bye-bye, Logan, we love you. The last footage of his life. So I don't know, it's just crazy. And then I was sitting there thinking to myself, and I've talked about this before on videos, and this goes out to anybody out there, but I've had regrets because as I was going through all this footage, I'm like, dang it, I wish I would have recorded more. Dang, I wish I would have taken more photos of him. Dang, I wish I would have taken pictures and photos of me holding him and just all that stuff, you know, even recording the moments of me crying, because there were moments I would cry my eyes out. And I wish sometimes I had that to remember just how hard, I mean, I remember how hard it was, but to like see it, because it was hard. Like sometimes that was my biggest regret, is I just wish I would have had more footage of his life and that I would have filmed more of it. I wish I would have more photos, and then more, like the most important thing is I wish I would have had footage, whether it was video or pictures of the day he passed away, because it was super tender. Kesley came up and said goodbye to him on his bed, and he was totally intubated, so he was asleep. And Kesley jumps up on his bed. He was totally out of it. He was not responsive to me and Corey, but he was totally responsive to Kesley, because Kesley hopped up on his bed and she leaned over him and she said, bye, Logan, I love you. And his eyes popped open, and like he looked at her for a second, and he was trying, you could tell he was trying to fight it, but it was almost like he wanted to see her one last time. And it was like just super sweet, because I remember Corey and I both looked at each other like, oh my gosh, he responded to her. I wish I would have had actual video footage of that. And I wish I would have had footage of us walking down to a separate room. They gave us a very private room, and I wish I had all that. Like, I wish I had all of that. And I've thought long and hard about all of this, sharing more detail about everything with you guys, and I haven't felt right yet. It's so hard to talk about, and but like I want to tell you, but like I'm not ready yet. Those are things I wish I had. Like, I remember I walked into the room to take him out, like all the tubes out and everything, to say goodbye to him. And the nurse said, we have a photographer here, and she would love to come in and take pictures of you holding him and saying goodbye to him. And I'm like, no. I remember I looked at Corey, I'm like, why would they ask that? That is so weird. I know it was all out of kindness, and like, I don't know. Now I know it was, but before it's like, that's weird. Like, why would someone ask to take pictures of that? But having been through it, I wish so badly I had those photos, and I wish so badly that I could have looked back on those pictures and been like, oh yeah, I remember every single thing. Like, I would have loved to have had a photo of them doing his hand mold and his foot mold and our hand molds together. Like, I just wish so badly I had all that photographed or, you know, filmed. Even like his last breath. Unless you guys have been through it, I don't think anyone can judge, because I've been through it and I know what I would have wanted out of it. And I wish so badly for me to have, not to share with the world, but for me to have a video clip of him holding him and hearing his very last breath, because his last breath was the most beautiful sound you've ever heard in your entire life. And it sounds so crazy to even say that, but it really was such a beautiful sound. So that is one thing I wish so badly that I had that night. I wish I would have had the whole thing. Like, I just wish I could just bottle up that entire night, stick it in a bottle, and like open up that bottle and just have like all that memory, like a big bubble over my head, like show me exactly what happened that night. Everything from the feeling in the room when I walked in to the moment he passed to the moments after he passed were just so amazing. And you know, everyone can look at their trials differently. And yes, I was angry at God for a long time, but I also knew I could not get through it without him. I prayed every day, sometimes multiple times a day, to get through it because it was so hard. I'm grateful for that because I couldn't have gotten through it. And Corey and I actually had different schedules where we'd cry at off times. When we were in our grieving stage, I would cry usually myself to sleep, and he would be there like cuddling me and like helping me. And then he would wake up about 4 or 5 in the morning and he'd be crying. And then I was good to comfort him. And so it was funny how like it was just kind of worked that way, but it was not easy to lose a child. It was not easy. And I would never wish that on anyone, because it's so hard, but it happens. And there are people out there who lose children. And because of my experience, I've been able to have compassion and empathy for a lot of people. And I've learned so much. And because of Logan's experience with my photography I got into, I've offered to multiple people to take pictures of their babies when they were passing away. And it was the night they passed away. It was the moments they passed away. I was there when children actually passed away. I photographed it. I photographed all of that, the last moments, the parents' tears, like the actual beautiful, beautiful pictures. I feel so grateful that I could be a part of that and give these parents this amazing gift that I didn't have. I met so many amazing moms, and I got to meet so many amazing little babies. Even if it was just for a couple hours, I got to meet so many amazing babies. I'm grateful for that. I'm super grateful for that. So anyway, a trial, a lot of blessings came out of it. It was horrible and beautiful at the same time. And if we look at life like that there's always something positive that comes out of something negative, kind of like the year 2020. It was kind of a crappy year, I think, for most people. But if you look at it as I was with my family a lot more this year. I was able to learn how to do hair. I was able to learn how to cook this year. I mean, all these little, you gotta look at the positive, you gotta look at the negatives and twist them around to something positive about it. Another thing I was gonna say is when I decided to have more children, there was always that risk of, okay, heart disease, but I had Kesley and she was really healthy. So I was nervous to get pregnant with Rhett, Reese, and Perri, because I'm like, every baby I got pregnant with, I had to go and get like a special ultrasound at the heart clinic in like a primary children's hospital and have like a specialist heart doctor look at the heart, because it was actually missed when I was pregnant with Logan. No one even caught it. Am I angry about that? No. I don't think it would have changed the outcome anyway. I'm actually super grateful they didn't catch it, because had they caught it, I would have had to have given birth at primary children's hospital. And so I'm super grateful that I didn't know about it, because it actually gave me 4 extra months of at home, if you want to call it that way, at normal at home with a new baby. Although it was never normal, but if you know what I mean by normal, like I got to go home with my baby from the hospital, not knowing that he had heart disease, because even at the hospital in the NICU where he stayed for 4 days, they missed it again. Like I said, I wasn't angry, I wasn't mad, I'm okay with it because I got to bring him home. I feel awful though that he had to suffer, because I had no idea. And I remember one time he was crying in his bassinet in my bedroom, and I was in the shower, and so I had my bassinet like sitting outside the shower so I could kind of keep an eye on him, but I couldn't hold him, I was wet. So I hurried and got out of the shower, but he had been crying, like he was crying so hard that he actually turned blue. And he was like head sweats, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, like it almost like, to me it seemed like he had been like traumatized by something. So I went and tried to pick him up and calm him. I was able to calm him by nursing him, but I remember thinking that was so weird. So I told my doctor this, and he said that basically it was really hard for him to breathe, and he didn't know it was harder for him to breathe, so he was crying because it was harder for him to breathe, if that makes any sense. So he was having a blue spell, and I never even heard of that before. And it broke my heart. It killed me to think that like he was having a hard time and I had no idea. I went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and while we were there, the altitude level up there is super high. So it was definitely different than Utah. It made it really hard for him to breathe up there. So he was like, his lips were blue, his fingernails were blue, even with oxygen. So my mother-in-law was up there at the time, and she turned to Corey and she's like, something's wrong with him, like he's blue. So we got him to the hospital and found out that he had heart disease. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh. Like I said, we were at the hospital, and then the doctor comes out and talks to me and Corey, and she's like, he is a miracle. And we're like, what? And she's like, it is a miracle he's alive. And we're all, whoa, why would you say that? And she's like, because he has 2 combinations of heart disease that we've never seen in anybody before ever. And he had 2 types of heart disease, and he had a VSD. And so his heart disease, first one he had was pulmonary anonymous venous return, and then he had tetralogy of Fallot, which is so crazy. 2 totally different heart diseases in one heart. And they're like, it's a miracle he's alive. They're like, I've never seen this before. So truly it was a miracle, guys, because he was 4 months old. None of us knew anything about this. Got him his first surgery, and then he was able to go home, I think like after 2 weeks, 10 days or something like that, was able to go home. And he did quite well, I would say. I think he went 7 weeks, and then kind of obstruction of the veins happened where his lungs or his veins closed off by scar tissue. So the heart was repaired, which was great, but the veins were bad. And so the surgeon went back in second time and opened up the veins with a stent and like pushed back as much as he could to help with scar tissue. And he went 13 weeks after his second surgery, and it happened again. And so the doctor's like, we can try it again, January 3rd, we can put you guys back on the schedule, January 3rd. We're like, and then Corey and I, we were deciding if that was the right thing to do. And we scheduled the surgery, but then he got really, really sick after Christmas, and that's when we took him to the hospital. And then that's when Corey and I were just like, we can't put him through another surgery. We just can't. So anyway, I kind of touched you up on most of the story. There's more details, of course, but I would love to share it at some point. But like I said, I'm super grateful I had 4 healthy children. And I was scared with Rhett, Reese, and Perri each time. I am so grateful to have a boy here. Like, I was so grateful to have Rhett. I wanted a boy. So I was really excited to have Rhett. That is kind of it. I was not expecting to go this much into story time tonight, but I was just sharing it on Instagram. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna share a little bit more with my followers over here about it. So it was more of a story time for you guys. The number one thing I've learned, and I think I should tell all of you guys, it's totally getting dark outside as I'm sitting here by the window, but never take life for granted. Always film, always take pictures. And if you're saying goodbye to somebody you love or having a funeral, honestly, my brother-in-law took pictures at Logan's funeral, and I was so happy I have those because those are mine. And I've never really shared like specific photos that my brother-in-law gave me, but I've shared some things, but there are some I won't share. I am so grateful I have those. So that to me was huge. If you're saying goodbye to somebody you love, film, take pictures, and record it, because it's something you will be so glad you have. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to be kind. You guys serve someone else. Make sure it makes you feel better when you're outside doing something for somebody else, even when you're feeling down. Say if you're having a bad day, go text a friend like a really nice message, or take a drink to a neighbor or your friend, or randomly open up a door for somebody going to the grocery store, or help somebody put their bags, just something simple like that. And I'm telling you, it makes your life better because you were kind. And that is something I feel like is something we should do more of, especially I think we should all unify, become close, and be kind and respectful to everybody. No matter what you believe, no matter anything, we're all children of God. And anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in our next video. Bye guys.